Hey kids, did you know that both Stormcaller subclasses for the Warlock were total garbage both before and after Bungie graced us with the middle tree? I know, right? It's the weirdest thing. Dysfunctional subclasses? No, not Destiny. Not Bungie of all devs. That would just damage their own game.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm kicking my ass, do you mind?
And that really says a lot about the developers. Either way, chin up, Buttercup, because I'm here to tell you that the Boy of Jays has officially found a way to turn expired milk fresh into whole milk. The good stuff, that way it's ready for your breakfast cereal in the morning. And for the record, scrounging to put this together was a lot like rinsing my eyes out with rubbing alcohol. I had a great time with this one. I really did.
That is totally a lie. I saw him crying last night.
Hey, Sully, you remember that conversation we had about personal information on the camera? Shut up and roll the scene. Alright, kids, top tree Stormcaller. You don't have to, but I used an arc bolt grenade for this footage because I have a serious issue with min-maxing my chain lightning. 2 abilities matter, the rest are just weak old mashed potatoes you found in the microwave with sentient life dwelling inside of them. In other words, they are trash.
Fucking roll!
First up is Chain Lightning. This electrocuting melee ability chains lightning from struck targets to nearby enemies. Normally, this would also be worthless, but the next ability is what makes it usable. Arc Web. Enemies damaged by your grenades chain deadly lightning to nearby enemies. Each grenade or melee chain returns grenade energy. This is crucial because we're stacking discipline mods with more than just a few seasonal mods to make this bad boy about as deadly as your mom's hamstrings. In a dramatic turn of events, we're doing mods before guns this time because it honestly just kinda makes a little bit more sense. To start off, you'll need Hammer of the Warmind. This mod causes detonations from Warmind cells that you create to both disrupt and stagger champions, making it an essential given that we're not only using a SERAPH gun with this build, but we're also bringing another mod that's just as broken, if not more so. Next up is Tyrant Surge. This mod will create Warmind cells after dealing damage with any and all arc abilities. It does have an internal cooldown, but it's not large enough for it to matter. Just in case you weren't exactly well versed in Warmind cells yet, think of it like a pocket nuke that you can basically toss whenever you want. Next, we're taking Surge Detonators with us as a backup. Sometimes the wonky coding of this game means that those pocket nukes aren't going to stun champions like they're supposed to. This mod halfway fixes that issue by adding a disruption debuff to your grenades. It'll damage targets and create another Warmind cell that you can blow up at will, which is nice. Following that, we have Lightning Strikes Twice. Now, I mentioned just how fantastic this mod is with my last video, and I'll likely cry a little bit when it disappears at the start of next season, but for now, just take it with you. This mod increases your discipline after getting any grenade final blows. The stronger the target killed, the longer the buff will last. After it activates, any and all arc final blows will keep this modifier active, so you'll have extreme grenade recharge times. Lastly, as always, heavy-handed. Now, I've used this mod in so many videos, I honestly don't think I need to even explain how it works anymore, but in case you're new to the game or you didn't play much during last season, heavy-handed consumes a charge of light, and in doing so, it will return half of your melee energy to you. You'll need a charger mod as well, for which I would suggest taking charge, as masterwork weapons will generate orbs that you can use to build said charges. Extremely handy, definitely not to be left out. And now, we move on to armor. Verity's Brow is what you'll be using here, and there's a good reason as to why. For those of you who don't have it yet, or you've just never used it, here's how it works. Energy weapon kills grant death throws, which gives you a bonus to the damage of your grenade and grants you grenade energy. When you have death throws and you toss an explodey, nearby allies also get a big boost to grenade energy. It stacks on itself 5 times for the player, and energy kills will keep that buff nice and high in the sky for you. That's why we're using the next best SMG, and no, it is not the Risk Runner. 7th SERAPH VY-7. One of the best rolls that you can get on this gun right now is Feeding Frenzy and 4th Time's a Charm or Ambitious Assassin. Either way, this thing is a monster. It's also Arc by default, which is going to fuel both death throws and lightning strikes twice. Both are crucial to keep your abilities off cooldown. There are other alternatives you could likely use, but VY-7 was by far the most reliable and fluid for me as an individual. It's also a big deal because anti-barrier rounds, so if you slot that mod, you'll have all 3 champion classes covered with a single loadout without any hassle, and that is no easy feat. Next, we're looking at the god of all shotguns, the tractor cannon. Why? Well, I'm glad you asked, because it's the tractor cannon. Why else? It weakens enemies and increases all damage taken. Why would you not want that if you're going to throw a grenade with ×5 damage? It's also useful for clearing out large mob crowds when things get real dicey, and believe me, they will. Lastly, I would recommend a hand cannon in the kinetic slot just in case all other champion staggers fail, since you can slot either overload rounds or unstoppable rounds on them. For nothing more than just comfort, I'd rather have something I don't need than need something that I don't have. This is a highly aggressive build, much like the last Stormcaller that I threw together. Every mod fits perfectly with the chosen exotic, and I'm going to show you why. When a combat encounter starts, your energy weapon is key. Racking up kills with it will increase the damage dealt by your grenade when you finally throw it, and when you do throw that first grenade, two things will immediately happen, assuming you get a kill. When a target dies from the overcharged grenade, lightning strikes twice will activate and your grenade cooldown is increased. Energy weapon kills will keep death throws active, and because our energy weapon is also arc, it will keep lightning strikes twice active as well. Since mine is a masterworked weapon, it's generating orbs of light as well, orbs that will charge me and will allow me to use my melee command to recharge extra grenade energy if I ever find myself in an awkward scenario where my buffs are almost gone and I'm not charged yet. Which does happen, believe me, and all of that is because of Arc Web, one of the subclass abilities that I mentioned earlier. Now when you finally use that melee command, since you have those charges of light, Heavy-Handed will activate, which restores half of your melee energy immediately, meaning that you don't have to rely on strength mods to keep you fueled. When you use any of your abilities, Warmind cells will generate and you can blow them up at will, dealing massive damage by default, and even more so if you get a good tractor cannon debuff in there. Now, as if that wasn't cool enough, you're also going to stagger or disrupt any unstoppable or overload champions in the blast radius, which allows you to maintain control of the encounter and deal with those little bastards. Remember that if your Warmind cells fail, you've got your grenades, which can also disrupt targets, and if you brought your favorite hand cannon along with you, you'll have unstoppable rounds as well. Now, your supercharge is not meant for dealing large amounts of damage to bosses. Storm Trance should be saved for critical moments where you're out of energy and you're in a large crowd of monsters in line for a hot bowl of human skin soup. Since it's also an arc ability, it'll keep your buffs active, and you can still throw grenades while casting. The damage from Storm Trance will chain to targets in and around the one that you're currently hammering into submission, making it excellent at quick clears and saving throws when you make the wrong decision at the wrong time and find yourself in a real awkward spot. Kinda like the one on screen right now, where champions just spawned in and I threw my grenade early and now I basically have to do the whole Russian roulette thing with 2 barrier champs. Fun times. Realistically, you don't need to be a genius to make this work. You just need to be smart and have a morsel of skill every now and then. The mods will do the rest of the hard work for you, which is what makes this truly golden. And now that I think about it, if I'm being honest, this build is actually kind of broken. But I mean, if it wasn't, would I really take the time to do a video on it? Think of it this way. Complete dominance. In essence, there isn't anything that you can't necessarily handle, unless we're talking about match game. I don't want to talk about match game. That is a whole different can of worms that I want absolutely no part of right now.